it's still September 13th, 2025. I'm almost done. Actually, I got a little bit more to go on a personal first-hand account of a man who was Charlie Kirk's mentor, who was actually with him at the Utah Valley event. He's the guy with the white hat that people said was signaling. My wife and I have been talking about what the internet is saying about the murder. I watched something last night that said the whole thing was fake, that he had a sack of blood right here, that got punctured. My wife believes that there was a man with military gear on that shot Charlie close up with a gun incorporated into his arm, which I couldn't buy because there's literally people all around the front of him. And if somebody shot a bullet, it'd have to whiz by their head. And they would go, oh, they would hear it. They had to make some noise. Also, the crack of the gun is heard on all the videos that show him being shot. So we know the rifle was shot. Now, in my effort here to dispel some of the crazy theories, I don't dispel, because I don't have all the facts, I don't dispel the idea that this wasn't organized, that this wasn't done by a group, a dark cabal type group that also was involved in the Trump assassination. These are all things that can happen because you have this classic, 22-year-old lone shooter idea, and they're trying to put the whole blame on him with the text message with his so-called lover. We because of all the stuff America's been through for the last 60, 70 years with assassinations, we don't believe when there's just a lone patsy, because we know that the CIA's been involved in bad things against our own people and presidents. We know that. Other international groups have been involved in those kinds of things. But what I do want to dispel with this video is the idea that it wasn't that guy with the rifle. I'm really not believing it was somebody else. I think it's too far-fetched to say that some local 100 foot away, 80 foot away person shot him, or to dispel the idea that it was a fake assassination, that he's really not dead. I want to dispel that because of the way I watch people who knew him well, who loved him, had a real friendship, how they responded to this death. They're responding like anyone would respond when you lose a precious friend and loved one. So let's put to death, I'm not going to be able to do it, but let anybody in the sound of my voice put to death those theories. Keep alive and take out the Israel thing, because that's not going to help Israel at all. Even if there was a loose side connection of some person that's loosely connected with Mossad, which is part of the dark cabal, that. There's something driving this that's from the left, right? Charlie Kirk was clearly a threat politically to their future. Charlie Kirk was going after their target group. I know, because I've got now 6 kids that have been in college, 2 more to go. I know what the college did to my children. I know how they tried to make them think. I know what way they present history, right? And I know how they treat the Bible. If Charlie Kirk is gonna impact the next generation on college campus, he is their number one enemy. Just as anyone would be who was on these campuses, campus to campus, and seeing great miracle signs and wonders, just like Paul type miracles, which is what I want to do, they will be target number one, because there's nothing they can do. If you take the youth and move them to the right, they're done. The Latin American, honest, hardworking people coming from Latin America, they're moving to the right. The black men moving to the right. And if you grab the youth, which is their indoctrination camp, college, because sign up to do our service, the doctors that sold us on the vax, right? And the mask and all the nonsense. They are their camp. That's their group. The mainstream medical people, mainstream technology people, that's their group. And if you start to move them, and the social, psychological, psychology people, and marketing people, if you move them to the right, think about the impact of that on our nation. Think about the dumb lady who decided to flip around Cracker Barrel's logo. She was in a college, she was a byproduct of the college system. She was indoctrinated, programmed, and then this is what you get. So the purpose of this is to dispel the idea that there were people behind. One was his personal security guard, and the other was the guy that I'm gonna put the description or his video of what he went through the last week, mourning the death of his friend. He was his mentor, okay? A Christian man, a godly man, an apologist, very smart. So, please, let's stop, which is why I did the video yesterday. Guard your heart above all else, for out of it flow the issues of life. It does you no benefit to think about evil. We should be wise concerning the good and not so smart concerning the evil. So when it comes to the things that I've learned about, I am wise concerning 9/11 not being planes. But I don't need to know the nitty-gritty of who was actually involved. I just know they lied. Same is true, obviously, with heaven and earth and how NASA's a joke and all that stuff is a bunch of lies. The same with all the teaching on there's more than two sexes. So what we identify is the lie. What we stand on and what we get really smart about is the truth. God bless you.